Hey everyone, I have just returned from Eastern Kentucky doing the mission work, helping rebuild houses and helping tear out moldy clothes and walls and pulling up floors and doing all that in order to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ and to show the love of God in places where a lot of people are struggling financially. So the first week we had 9 team members from Pennsylvania as well as West Virginia. And the second week we had 12 team members, some from New York, no, not New York. We had some from New England, we had some from Maryland, and we had a bunch from Pennsylvania. All told, over the course of the 2 weeks, we had the joy of seeing 4 people give their lives to Jesus Christ as their Savior. We also saw 2 people rededicate their lives to the Lord. Had many gospel conversations with people. People who were already believers were encouraged and strengthened in their faith. And we were part of a much larger team. At times, there were 90-some people at our location that was kind of covering the Pike County area of Eastern Kentucky, and teams fanning out and working on houses all over the place. I believe we had something like 80-some projects completed. Just a lot of helping people, assisting people, and everywhere we were going, we were sharing the love of Jesus with people. A place where people are very suspicious of outsiders, and there's a lot of history there with that. But coming in and not asking for anything, but rather there, we want to help and we want to serve you without strings attached. We do want to have gospel conversations. We do want to talk about God because that's the reason why we're there. But that's not, our help is not contingent upon that or anything like that, as it should never be. So I just want to kind of share some of the thoughts that I had from this trip. It was first thing that just kind of showed up just all over the place was how awesome it is to be part of a group of people who are of one mind and one spirit. It says in Nehemiah that the wall was built very quickly as the Jews were rebuilding Jerusalem because the people had a will, a mind to work. And that is very true of this project. We brought in many people from Alabama all the way up to New England to this one county. There are 5 affected counties, and those 5 counties were being covered by different state conventions and such like that with the Southern Baptist. Over 500 volunteers at a time, spread out over the 5 counties. Just a lot of volunteers, tons and tons of work, equipment, trailers brought in that had been prepared for a long time, and all that focused in the same reason. We were all there for the same reason. We were there because we were following Jesus Christ. Is called to love our neighbors as ourselves, and to share the gospel everywhere we go. And seeing so many people who are sacrificing themselves. Everyone was volunteers. No one was paid to be there. Everyone was there because they were able to take the time off. A lot of people were retired, and that's why they're there. They have the time that they can do that. But you're there at your own expense. You have to pay to buy the gas to drive there, and then you sleep on a floor on an air mattress, a cot if you bring one, and that's not comfortable being packed into a room like sardines with 10, 15, 20 other people sleeping in gymnasiums or on church floors. But we're all there. Not because we want to be comfortable and have a great relaxing time, but rather we're there to work. So being surrounded by just a great community of Christian fellowship, just was just another awesome experience. If you've ever been on a mission team, you know what I'm talking about. This camaraderie, this true fellowship. Second thing is this need for us in our faith to actually take steps of faith. And by that I mean risking things. It's not really a risk, but it feels like a risk. Giving up things, making sacrifices. If your faith doesn't cost you anything, it's not really faith. And when we step out in faith, that's when we really open up the door for God to do some really amazing, miraculous things. But so often we stay so safe and so comfortable that we really don't have much room in our lives, our day-to-day lives, for God. We're not desperate for Him when we wake up. We don't cry out to Him to help us, give us the strength, save us today. We just kind of go about our day. And we really need to rethink how we live. We need to be taking those steps of faith. I don't know what those things are for you. Have those conversations that are difficult, challenging, and not spend your entire life building up a pile of stuff or a wall of comfort to protect you from the harsh realities of the world, because there's a lot of people who are living in those harsh realities who desperately need help, who desperately need hope, and you are the one that's called to bring it to them. So taking steps of faith, as well as having good fellowship who are really truly about doing the work of God, not just coming to a country club and enjoying the music or the soft, comfy chairs at a service, but who are there to work, who are there to serve the kingdom of God. And then thirdly, just how many people exist outside the walls of our church who will just never come in. We have to go to them. Jesus said, "Go and make disciples," not stay and wait for people to come and then make them disciples if they are willing. No, we do too much sitting and waiting for people to come to our church buildings. We need to take the gospel out there, and that's part of the reason why I got involved in this platform, YouTube, because these electrons go into all sorts of people's homes, get into all people's phones out there. YouTube is an amazing mission field that can really reach out to people all around the world. But if you're coming from somewhere other than the United States, please pop that down in the comments down below. Let other people can kind of see how far this is spread. And there's a bunch of you from the United States, but a lot from elsewhere as well. So people have been hurt by churches. People have associated churches with many things, whether they've been hurt or not, and they're just not going to go. We have to go to them. And that's another thing I was just seeing once again as we were going out there talking to people who don't necessarily have anything against God per se, but they're just on autopilot. They just have things to do, and they just haven't been to church in 30 some years or something like that. They just stopped for whatever reason. And this is down in the Bible Belt. And so kind of everybody's a Christian kind of thing for the most part. But what we're seeing is just listening to the stories of people who are struggling, and they just won't go get help. There are so many resources and opportunities for help, physical help, that people weren't availing themselves of. And we saw that firsthand, but then saw also the people who were not availing themselves of spiritual help. They weren't becoming part of a community church or really seeking out spiritual guidance and fellowship. And when you take church away from a person who who claims to be a Christian, faith dies. Faith is meant to be lived in community with other people. I know a lot of people are watching this that go to church, and then I know that there's a fair number of you who don't go to a church gathering. You don't form up. You don't join up with a church family somewhere. And that's sometimes because there just isn't any in your area, because you're just out there, or there are very few churches that really teach the Bible in your area. And I can understand that. There are definitely churches somewhere nearby, but they might be further away. But a lot of people think that they can kind of lone ranger the Christian life, and it doesn't work out that way usually. Usually people start growing cold. They start getting too focused on one thing. God's given you a spiritual gift if you're a believer, but without the church to express that spiritual gift, you'll never become who God has called you to be, and you'll never be balanced out by all the other people with spiritual gifts and perspectives and life experiences. And you need that. You really need that. You need to be balanced out by a larger group of people with whom God is doing different things in. People who are called to different ministries, different giftings, different skills, different backgrounds. That's what we're called to be as part of this larger movement, this larger family. And we had that awesome opportunity to see, like I said, from Alabama to Alaska. We had someone from Alaska come down as well. And it was just a marvelous, marvelous time. So if you're one of the members from one of those teams, it was an awesome privilege and a joy to lead those teams. And if you did not come out, whether you didn't know anything about it, which most of you didn't, also it was just another amazing. I mean, we often, people often pat you on the back for going on a mission trip, but it's so true that you usually get so much more out of it than you put in. God just pours out his blessings like that. When you make sacrifices, when you take steps of faith, God pours out into your life just such amazing, marvelous things that you never really say, I sacrificed you. You say, God poured out his blessings on me. And that was so true of this trip as well. We did maybe 9 or 10 projects total over the 2 weeks. The second week, we mostly spent all of our time really tearing down one house. We gutted the whole thing, all the floors up, all the insulation out, cut out the walls. It was a massive project, massive undertaking for the 10 of us that were there over 4.5 days, something like that. Just a ridiculous amount of time. It's hard work, but how could they have done that by themselves? And they couldn't. And just seeing how that extravagant giving really touches people to their core. So that's kind of what happened. Many conversations, many encouraging conversations for people coming to the Lord, mostly due to our chaplain team that was with us the second week, and some rededications. And that's, my friends, how you reach people for Christ. You need to get uncomfortable. You need to get out there. You need to go to the people that won't come to us. All right, folks, I will see you on Sunday at the Revelation Bible study, and then starting Monday, we will start back up in the book, the Gospel of John. God bless you all. If you want to check out some other videos, you might want to check right here or here, some other Bible studies, then I'll see you starting next week. God bless.